the AA Daily Reflections for April 8th, an inside look. We want to find exactly how, when, and where our natural desires have warped us. We wish to look squarely at the unhappiness this has caused others and ourselves. By discovering what our emotional deformities are, we can move toward their correction. That's the 12 and 12, page 43, from my favorite chapter in the 12 and 12, the fourth step. Today I am no longer a slave to alcohol, yet in so many ways enslavement still threatens myself, my desires, even my dreams. Yet without dreams I cannot exist. Without dreams there is nothing to keep me moving forward. I must look inside myself to free myself. I must call upon God's power to face the person I've feared the most, the true me, the person God created me to be. Unless I can or until I do, I will always be running and never be truly free. I ask God daily to show me such a freedom. This chapter was really the watershed moment for me after my last relapse. I was sitting down with my awesome sponsor, Michael G. And we went through the fourth step, and all sorts of light bulbs started to go off in my head. And it had everything to do with step 4, where our natural desires have warped us. The first page and the entire chapter, the fourth step, is just amazing. I looked it up, and instincts is used 19 times in chapter 4. It also, in the 12 and 12, it also talks about how every grave emotional disorder is because of misguided instincts. Let me get the exact quote. It's at the bottom of the first page of the chapter. Nearly every serious emotional problem can be seen as a case of misdirected instinct. When that happens, our great natural assets, the instincts, have turned into physical and mental liabilities. I always remember that. For whatever reason, it just is burned into my brain that every serious emotional problem is because of misguided instincts. All right, we wish to look squarely at the unhappiness this has caused others and ourselves. Well, that's not very natural, is it? Usually we want to justify that we did nothing to anybody. But I really appreciate that they say unhappiness this has caused others and ourselves, which gives us agency over our own happiness. By discovering what our emotional deformities are, I love that they use the word deformities too, because it just conjures up this grotesquerie, some circus sideshow. After that, we can move toward their correction. Today, I'm no longer a slave to alcohol, yet in so many ways, enslavement still threatens myself, my desires, even my dreams. Going back to instincts, so I love that they use the word instincts, because regardless of how well trained you are, the instincts are still there at the foundational level. And I use the analogy that German Shepherd, I don't know if I've shared this before, but a German Shepherd can be trained to guide the blind. It can be trained to find bombs. It can be trained to find drugs. It can be trained to fight crime. Yet, if a squirrel runs out in the periphery of the German Shepherd's eye line, he's looking over like that. Like he's not going to go eat the squirrel, but he wants to, because it's his instincts. He or she is just very well trained. And that's how I feel in AA. If I'm plugged in, if I'm reading the literature, if I'm praying, if I'm going to meetings, I feel like I'm a really well-trained German Shepherd, or a mediocrely trained German Shepherd that gets things right half the time. Can you imagine if a seeing eye dog got things right half the time? He probably would get fired. So it's always out there, waiting to enslave you again, and even take away your dreams. Yet without dreams, I cannot exist. Without dreams, there is nothing to keep me moving forward. Oh my goodness, this one's jam-packed. So at age 45, I'm 49 now, I decided to quit a very decent job and pursue a career on YouTube full time. I know you probably wouldn't think that by watching this channel, but I do have another channel. So I had a dream of being a YouTuber. And this was after I'd been sober for a while, after I had been really practicing faith, and after the concept of just putting in the work and leaving the results up to God clicked with me. Now, I didn't just quit my job and start a YouTube channel. I was working on a YouTube channel for over a year before I quit my job. But that was my dream. I put in an inordinate amount of work the first 18 months while I was still working my job. 16, 18-hour days sometimes. But had I not been in a fairly decent spiritual condition, had I not had a decent relationship with my higher power and faith that she, the universe had a better plan for me, I wouldn't have done it. I would have been too scared. I must look inside myself to free myself. I must call upon God's power to face the person I've feared the most, the true me, the person God created me to be. I must call upon God's power to face the person I've feared the most, the true me, the person God created me to be. I don't know. I mean, I know what feels right. I know what feels like I'm in God's will. And I say if you're walking downhill, you're in God's will, because life is easy. You're swimming downstream. You don't feel like you're headbutting a wall and making no progress. I personally feel that doing YouTube is God's will because it came somewhat naturally to me. But the real game changer is having some semblance of self-awareness. I don't really understand. I must call upon God's power to face the person I've feared the most, the true me, the person God created me to be. Because it feels like that's negative, and it makes sense because we're powerless to really change ourselves. It really takes God to change us. But then it's followed up, the person God created me to be. So I feel like that's kind of paradoxical. Unless I can or until I do, I will always be running and never be truly free. I ask God daily to show me such a freedom. Well, that follow-up kind of means that we need to be the person that God wants us to be, which is outside of our plan, which isn't going to happen on our time frame. And I think if we sat down with God and we said, hey, all right, here's my plan. Here's my 5-year plan. Here are my goals. This is what I want to accomplish. And this is the time frame that I want to accomplish it in. I truly believe that God would just laugh and be like, all right, but we had another plan for you, another path. We were going to put you on the management path at Home Depot. I'm just kidding. Well, my point is, I never dreamt that I would have the life that I have today. Had it not been for AA, I would not have the life that I have today. And it somewhat just happened. And when I started, I put a lot of effort into it, but I completely left the results up to God. I legitimately said I'm going to make 4 or 5 videos a week for 3 months. If the channel doesn't grow, if I don't see some traction, then I know it's not for me. So there's really no fear involved with it. And I'm not telling you how to live your life or what you should do. But I do think you should, if you have a direction you want to go and you don't know if it's in God's will yet, just do the work and leave the results up to God. And if it's meant to be, it's going to be obvious. I also love here the last sentence says, I ask God daily to show me such a freedom, which is face the person I've feared the most and then become the person God created me to be. Unless I can or until I do, I will always be running and never be truly free. That's powerful stuff. Hey, if you're new here, which you probably aren't because we get like 25 views per video, please like and subscribe. We do the daily reflections. And maybe there'll be some other sobriety recovery based content. Thank you. Have a great day. I hope you stay sober. And if you're not sober, I hope you go to a meeting.